So in today's video, I want to talk to you about how do you use a holding company to increase your net worth. Now, first of all, when I say net worth, I'm talking about assets minus liabilities. Assets minus liabilities. So if you are going to have a holding company, let's just say this is your holding company, LLC. All right, this is your parent company. This is the company that you're going to use to hold assets. Now, those assets could be different assets. Those assets could be physical assets, digital assets, intellectual assets, all types of assets, business assets, real estate assets, equipment. We're just simplifying by saying your holding company essentially holds assets. The more assets your holding company holds, guess what? The more your net worth becomes, because your assets, of course, minus liabilities equals your net worth. So if you're going to use a holding company, this type of entity, to increase your net worth, and your net worth is the sum total of your assets minus liabilities, then what exactly do you need to have more of? Of course, you need to have more assets. All right. Now, there's a process I like to recommend my students and clients to go through when it comes to getting more assets. I call it asset accumulation and I call it asset acquisition. Now, the reason why I like to differentiate both of these is because when you are accumulating assets as opposed to acquiring assets, you are basically taking anything that has monetary value or anything that has enterprise value, and you're bringing it into the ecosystem of your enterprise. All right. So that means it could be a division of products and services that you offer. It could be a separate subsidiary that you create in the form of an LLC for another operating business that sells products and services. Whatever it is, whether it's a division or a subsidiary, the accumulation of assets requires you to take assets that you already have. You have just not identified with them. Most of the times, these assets that the owner of a holding company accumulates are assets that they personally control and hold. For example, there may be a retirement account that you can self-direct under your holding company. You may have cash sitting in a savings account or a money market account that you're going to provide to your holding company for working capital. You may have vehicles, equipment, real estate. There are so many things. I've seen it happen, and I've worked with clients who have had personal assets, but they just did not understand the value of those personal assets as business assets. They did not understand it, of course, until we talked. But what they did was they went through this process of asset accumulation. So how do you go through the process of asset accumulation? Again, you've got to identify with anything that you control, anything that you possess that has monetary value. Okay, it has monetary value. Maybe the monetary value is just a dollar amount. Maybe it is monetizable, meaning that if it was inside of this enterprise, you could actually sell it as a product or sell it as a service. Most assets that have monetary value could be, of course, your retirement account or equipment or real estate and things like that. Then there are other assets that can be monetized that you may possess and control, like your intellectual assets, your skill sets, your abilities, things that you know you could do that could be packaged into products and services, and they can be offered through your company or under your enterprise. All right. So you want to make sure that you give yourself the asset accumulation / acquisition test. Is it monetizable, or does it have monetary value? Also, does it have the potential to elevate my enterprise value? Meaning that if I have an asset that I personally own, if I go through this process of asset accumulation and position it within my enterprise, will it elevate my enterprise value? Will it make this company more valuable? I've had clients who have just had pieces of land that they just personally own, or 1 or 2 pieces of real estate that they personally own. Now, if it's real estate or land or equipment or something that's risky and volatile, I'm not going to tell you to just transfer the ownership inside of the holding company. We're going to put that inside of a LLC, or maybe it will be in a land trust that your holding company is the beneficiary of. So there's so many different ways that you can structure it, but the bottom line is this: asset accumulation is going to be something you do within first. Then as you continue to accumulate these assets and associate dollar amounts to them so that your enterprise value can continue to increase, you can start shifting into asset acquisitions. Now, acquisitions, for me, describe what you do not just inside of your life and within your enterprise or ecosystem, but the acquisition component is what you do outside. So now you can acquire real estate, you can acquire businesses, you can acquire other assets. Maybe you acquire businesses that have assets that could elevate the enterprise value. But this collectively, when done correctly, will not only provide monetary value to your company, but it will also offer opportunities for your company to monetize and make money, and it will increase your enterprise value, thus causing your net worth to go up. So this is a little more sophisticated than just trying to sell a product or service or coming up with an idea that you want to present to the market. But guess what? It's worth it. So if you have a holding company and you have not thoroughly vetted the assets that you have, start this process, because it makes it easier for you to accumulate them, to begin to acquire them, to position them within your enterprise so that you can monetize, you can have money coming in, you can elevate your enterprise value, and ultimately increase your personal and your organizational net worth.